Happy New Year, and pray everybody had a great um, Christmas and New Year's, Thanksgiving, great holiday season, as we like to say. Uh, Great to see you, ladies and gentlemen, here for the first meeting, land bank meeting of the new year, 2026. Um, and as is our tradition, I want to make sure that we all know who we're in here with today and talking to. So I'm going to ask, starting with this gentleman over here in my far left, if you'll tell us who you are and what organization you're with, and we're going to go around the table and everybody else is going to do the same.
My name is David Denmark. I'm with Suncor Construction Services, and I'm here with Mr. Landon Lewis of Land and Property Investment.
Okay.
And I'm Lou Landon with Land and Property Investments, and he's my partner.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Minister Buchanan from the Augusta Station, Augusta Catholic Church.
Excellent.
Yeah, Reverend Doris Tongo, pastor of the Ark of Safety,
Excellent.
John Manton, attorney for the Land Bank.
Ryan Downs, Land Bank Board.
Karen Gordon, Land Bank Board.
Scott Roundtree, the Land Bank Board.
Chris Johnson, Land Bank Board.
Sean Edwards, Land Bank staff.
Spartek Baza, Land Bank Board.
Kimara Jones, Land Bank staff. Susan LaFleur, reporter.
Excellent. Now that we've made our introductions, board members, you should have been sent a copy of our meeting minutes from December 10th. If you will take a look at those, if you hadn't had an opportunity to do so already, and see if there are any changes that need to be made. And someone please make a motion as to what to do with these meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Ryan Downs and properly seconded by Mr. Scott Roundtree to accept the meeting minutes from December 10th. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Moving on to item 2B, approved request from Land and Property Investments LLC to purchase land bank parcel located at 2429 North Carolina Avenue for construction of a single-family house. Ms. Jones.
Yes, so Land and Property Investments, they purchased properties on Melody Drive, everything we had on Melody Drive, back in our November board meeting, and they want to expand their project to North Carolina Avenue. If you see their price sheet, their plans are pretty much the exact same as the ones on Melody Drive. And they're in the folder for you, but if you head to their price sheets. Oh, also I want to mention on the property report, you see a structure on the property, that structure is no longer there. They're offering the $6,000 in attorney fees and living fees. They've already paid that, and then $6,000 due at closing for a total of $12,000. This property does have a demolition lien that we would like forgiven. Without that demolition lien, according to our policy, the property would have been $13,500. So we believe $12,000 is a fair price. And we're recommending approval.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Karen Gordon, properly seconded by Mr. Scott Roundtree, to accept the offer from Landon Property Investments LLC for the property located at 2429 North Carolina Avenue for the price of $12,000, $6,000 of which have been paid. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 2C, approved request from Reverend Doris Tongo to purchase the land bank parcel located at 1206 Kent Street for construction of single-family housing. Mr. Edwards.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So Pastor Tongo is looking to relocate here to Augusta, Georgia. Contacted our office via my office line, returned that call, and we had an opportunity to speak. She wants to construct a primary residence here. She's looking at a lot that's located at 1206 Kent Street. It is a vacant one in our inventory coming out of that non-judicial sale 2021. So total fees required on it were the $6,000, which include quiet title and debarment. That deposit's already been made, and the fair market value for the lot being only $3,500 would be left at closing. If you note, there is a lot cleanup fee of $4,123 that we would ask the board to include in this motion as being extinguished. But staff is recommending the sale of the property for $9,500, of course, including that lot cleanup fee being extinguished, to Ms. Congo for the construction of a primary residence home in Richmond County.
Okay, questions?
Can we zoom out a little bit? And what's the what's along the western boundary there? Is that a power? What's that gap between the lots?
You saying Julius
That's a-
Lane?
Yeah, sorry, I can't see very well, but is that a lane or a driveway or something along the back? I'm just curious. Right there.
Yeah, so those lanes often are not designated by city having a parcel number, but they would fall under engineering for maintenance and cleaning.
Okay.
We've run into those often in the Bethlehem neighborhood,
Okay.
when we were doing revitalization there when I still worked in housing and community development. There are times where, and this would affect Ms. Tongo if she elects to go this route, partnering with her neighbors, assuming the board approves this item. There are times where engineering will work with new investors as long as current owners sign off to abandon lanes and allow them to extend their property. It cuts costs on the city for maintaining something. But you would have to have, as my understanding from Dr. Malik, 51% or more of the persons there. So if it's 5 on the block, you need 3 to say, yeah, we would want to take control of this, and the city could abandon it. If you don't get that majority, then you can call 311 and engineering would be required to come out and make that clean.
Now, none of that is contingent on what happens here
No,
today.
it's just
That's just
question.
extra
Yeah,
information.
just question.
Thank you.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Ryan Downs and properly seconded by Ms. Karen Gordon to accept the request from Reverend Doris Tongo to purchase the land bank property located at 1206 Kent Street for the price of $9,500, $6,000 of which has been submitted. That also includes the request to extinguish the cleanup fees. All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposers, nay. The ayes have it. Item 2D, request from CD Capital Investment Group, LLC, to purchase land bank parcels located at 2215 Sullivan Road, 1639 Lucky Street, and 1637 Lucky Street for construction of single-family housing. Say it again.
Is this withdrawn?
Okay, that was withdrawn. Okay, sorry. No, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think because, and this is our understanding, and we'll, Mr. Chairman, if we could, we'll ask the
Please.
attorney to clarify for us. Because we had already published the agenda, we felt like the items that had to be read, and we just address it with the chair as opposed to letting him know beforehand to not read it. Was that proper?
It's fine either way. I mean, they're asked to withdraw or are they deferring to next month?
They're gonna push it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can just make a motion to
Push it back to
just
next.
continue to next month.
Motion has been made to push item 2D back to the February meeting. Motion has been made by Scott Roundtree and seconded by Ryan Downs to push the item 2D back to the February meeting. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposers, nay. Ayes have it. Item 3A, update on foreclosures and donations listing. Attorney Manning.
Sure. No updates on donations. There's been no activity there. Foreclosures, like I said, we just filed a big batch of foreclosures. We had a successful sale in November. So those properties are going to be coming to the land bank now after the 60-day redemption period. Be eligible for resale here shortly. So hopefully we're pretty busy first quarter and
Great.
turn around and selling properties.
Excellent. Excellent. Do I need to make a motion to accept that as information? Item 2B, discuss the FY 2026 budget appropriations. Director Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to ensure that our board is aware, now that the 2026 budget has been voted on, and approved by the Richmond County Commission. We are one of those agencies that was referenced as recently as yesterday, as some concerns came out about the standing of NGOs, your non-government organization. We still fall under that classification as an authority. And as a non-discretionary, we were cut by 50%. So we want to,
Which means we went from where to where?
so we've officially kind of downward turned a little bit worse. Since 1997, this entity has only been funded at its initial amount, annually $141,400. Regardless of how our expenses have changed, how our efforts have moved, that's always been our approval up to 2024, when we took a 1% cut as part of negotiation with the city. All departments elected to take that 1%, so we went down to 139.9. We operated there at 24 and 25, and now we are down to 70. And 70, I've been told by finance, is going to be 69 something, because they're going to actually take 50% of 139.9, since that's the motion. So the document that you see on the city's website says 70,000, but essentially, in speaking with Nancy He, who's our contact in finance, we essentially will be receiving enough to cover Kimara's position as well as her benefits. I bring it to the board's attention, so one, you're aware, but then second, for our last board meeting, we gave you a list of goals, that we were going to be more aggressive in how we were going to be getting inventory out to reduce expenses, that we were going to be pushing more property in packages. Those goals still apply. We're going to move a little bit more urgently in establishing implementation of them, so we won't be looking at second quarter to give you some grandiose push. We're going to be trying to sell as much as we can, as fast as we can. And so I just want you to anticipate having maybe more items on agenda as it pertains to your schedule and availability. We are hoping to get to a point that we can't do business in 1 hour, because with this type of budget from the city, we got a bigger gap to fill. You had the opportunity last month to see what our revenues were based off the number of properties that we were able to get sold in Kimara's end of year presentation. A large part of that, though, does get turned over for legal. So we're filling a pretty significant gap with our expenses already, and that's going to increase. So we ask for your continued support. Your staff is still going to work, but we've got even more work to do, and we may be reaching out a time or two to say, hey, how do we tackle this, or how would you recommend we handle this? Because 50% is not a small amount.
You mentioned something legal. Mr. Mann, does mean that's going to put even more work on you? Are you going to be able to, or do you need some assistance, or pick up some assistance?
No, for a while there, we were definitely behind
Gotcha.
with taking on the city work,
Gotcha.
hurricane, but we're
Good.
we're under control.
Sounds good. Okay. Questions, comments?
First question, I guess, is the administrative fee that corresponds to our transactions appropriate, period? And is that worthy of consideration in the context of this budget deficit?
When you approved increase of your fees, and I say yours, the board, but of course for the organization, we were being aggressive then compared to some other land banks that work with individuals primarily. We have since gone to our most recent state conference, and there's some land banks in the state that aren't working at the individual level anymore. They're doing organization or business only, and their fees are more exuberant. So we can do some research of our peers and see just how high they go when working with smaller investors, or we can start a process that would naturally, like Atlanta, Macon, Savannah, the fees end up becoming something where businesses could afford them, but individuals may shy away. We've got to get creative in how we find $70,000, while flying the plane. I would ask to bring you something back in February if we're going to consider increasing, because it would change who we could work with.
And I think I need to give this a little context. What we received from the city historically was the $141,000, but the budget is $350,000. So we've always had to make well over $200,000 just to break even. So I need everybody to understand that. Now we are $70,000. We started out 70,000 less than what we normally would. So that just means that we just have to work just that much harder. I mean, the land bank is going to do what the land bank is supposed to do. I think we're all committed to that, but it does mean that we will have to run a little faster than what we have in the past. And as Director Edwards has stated, one of the things that we have historically done, and John and I have had this discussion, Sean and I have had this discussion, we've kept these fees where smaller organizations, smaller businesses, and individuals, it wouldn't price them out. That same thing applies though to even our larger developers. So it probably is that time for us to go back and take a look and see if that's appropriate. Now, one other thing, and it's probably more for John than anybody else, we have historically moved housing and community development properties for $500. Housing Community Development sells a house for $250,000. Land Bank does that, we get $500. They sell it for $70,000, we get $500. Doesn't matter. Sell Weed School for $1.2 million, we get $500. Period. Now, certainly their business model is changing, so we do need to take a look and see how much work we will be doing on their behalf. And if there's a significant amount of work, then we need to consider whether or not $500 is sufficient. Ryan, I know that $1.2 million with $500.
Yeah, I mean, permission to ask a few questions.
Please.
And please tell me if this isn't the forum for these questions.
No, right here.
And I'm going to use your application as an example, knowing that it's already approved.
Yes.
So Reverend Tongo just submitted an application with a total budget of $740,000 and paid $9,500 for the piece of land, which included administrative application, legal fees, but then we've got these land bank fees at the bottom that are just zeroed out, and we're just not charging. And I guess so. My first question is, you have to be able to run this organization. In a $740,000 budget, is an additional $500 fee a deal killer? Is it an additional $1,000? I do think the questions of are the fees appropriate is a good one.
Sure. And I think that is exactly what we need to take a look at.
And
Nothing to do with you guys.
yeah, of course.
This is everybody, not just you, everybody for years.
You have a staff of two and are doing a ton of different things. To some extent, how realistic is it to just say, hey, we're just going to increase volume? You guys had a busy last year. You know, just shredding inventory in any other business isn't a great long-term plan. I think the work that you're doing with your conference, the mentoring that you're doing to smaller developers who do a first deal this year, but 2 next year and 4 the following year, is really your strategy. And so I think this is extremely tough news for the land bank. I would caution against saying, hey, the way we're going to fill the gap is just selling more.
Yeah.
It does seem very appropriate to not even charge more, but just charge the fees that you aren't charging right now. Yeah. There's a cost of everything that you guys are doing.
If I may, so just in your pricing sheet, the setup can kind of throw some things off. So the bottom blacked out admin fee and the bottom blacked out application fee are because they've been collected, not outstanding.
Okay.
So up top is kind of what you owe, and at the bottom is kind of what you pay. So it's not that we're negating fees there. Often what you'll see in that section is the lot cleanup, the demolition lien, monies that may be owed to the city that can be, as noted, waived in this process. It's just really a question of, well, it really falls to the board of how high we can find examples of where to give you gauges, but how high do we push those fees and not change dramatically the ability to work with smaller groups. That could be requested by the board to be researched for a case-by-case basis based on a project's budget. I can afford more on this deal. That may be based on inventory. If you're only buying one house from us versus some applications where our builders are buying 9 at a time. That may be driven more by primary residence versus investment property. We can research all the options, but in 2021, when we went from $250 flat to $1,000, of course it created a huge uproar. And then when we also that year took on an inventory that said you'll now have an increased attorney fee to clear title, we got a stack of Augusta Press articles. If we push that again, whatever recommendation the board wants to happen, staff will make happen, but we just put it out there to make sure that the board is aware. There'll be some pushback, it just depends on where from.
Well, I think it's in mind, I think articulated very well. It's just the cost of doing business.
Okay.
The city has certain things now that it used to do they can't do. Even as a tax commissioner, there are certain fees that I used to absorb. For example, kiosk fees, I would absorb that fee just for the convenience of the taxpayer. I can't do that anymore because the budget just won't allow. And so the land bank is no different. It just has to take a look and see, are there ways that we can recoup monies, but at the same time still be able to do the work of the land bank?
Yes, sir.
And I think that's just a good business.
Yeah. We'll look at it. We'll bring something back to the board. I'm bringing something back in February, if that is acceptable.
The message is support, by the way.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, if you
Yes,
think
sir,
it's
I know.
just doing more, but you guys are already doing a lot.
Yeah.
Quality matters.
But I never plan to bring to you an excuse. I'd rather bring you a solution, even if that means work harder. but I do receive the fact that you are giving instruction for us to be able to handle this situation in a probably more feasible way. So I appreciate it.
And I apologize, I hijacked your presentation by.
Oh, no, sir. My piece was done. Thank you.
Okay, is there any more discussions about that portion?
I'm just gonna say, thank you in advance for doing the research. If you, as subject matter experts, bring us back, let us know what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need support you.
We'll definitely take care of it.
I think unfortunately, it should never go without saying, but, and I want to make sure that I say it, not only for myself, but on behalf of the board. We're very fortunate to have the staff that we have. You guys do a lot of work, you do an excellent job, and we're very proud of what you do. And we thank you for making our job easier as board members because of the research and the work that you put in. All right.
Second.
Without any further ado, if there's nothing else, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.